outside of theirs. It sounds like they may have signed a contract that is not allowing them to just be in talks with other firms for potential acquisition. So it sounds like they signed that with Binance when they initially talked about this deal yesterday. So I think they have to somehow wind out of that to even try to talk to others. So that's a tricky process in and of itself. But I think that this ultimately goes towards FTX declaring some form of bankruptcy or something around that. And I think it's a bit of a winding process till we get there. The FTT token is now down from $25 to trading under $4 today in just a matter of 3 days. The Solana token, which is getting sold off by FTX so that they could try to prop up their own FTT, is getting destroyed, right? It was down another 40% today. And I don't think that this is the end. I think the culmination is some type of bankruptcy, something else along those lines. And when that gets announced, I think that there's a big flush. We all looked at FTX as the backstop for the ecosystem. Literally, Sam Bankman-Fried tweeted that they were kind of. I found a tweet a little bit back from him saying that. And clearly they're not. So now there doesn't seem to be any backstop because Binance is not stepping in here. So it just seems like it's going to have a continuous tumultuous effect. And that's going to affect also stocks, right, that have crypto relationships, Hood, Coin, etc. So there's a lot of pieces moving here.
Yeah, I mean, look, we talked about this, I think, several months ago when, the first information about Three Arrows came out. And even before that, when there were smaller firms that were getting caught in this web of leverage. One of the things myself and many people were saying at that time was that it seemed like there was a race in this industry, especially. And I mean, obviously in the broader market as well, especially at the height of the bull market, there was a race of speculation, a race of leverage. And a lot of these companies became interwoven to the extent that errors in top line management in some of these smaller firms ended up having a domino effect that led to these bigger firms. Like, I think if 2-3 months ago, you would have asked most people in the crypto community, like if FTX was at risk of insolvency or liquidity issue of this magnitude that would leave them open to be acquired, most people would have been like, nah, not FTX, maybe some of the smaller firms. But that's precisely the problem, is that this interwebbing of leverage and that we've seen in this industry is what has caused this issue. And now, like, Binance stepping away from this deal begs the question of what happens to the next big exchange when they go under, and will they even be worth much of anything if they suffer this kind of liquidity crunch? And we don't know now. Like, we're going to obviously find out in the next 2 weeks from, some of these major finance sources on what the speculative value of FTX is if Binance chooses not to acquire them.
So Bloomberg updated theirs estimate yesterday, and they updated the valuation or net worth of Sam Bankman-Fried, and they estimated the valuation of FTX International at $1, Alameda at $1, FTX US at $1.1 billion, and then his Robinhood holding.
Yeah, that's it. Like, and then that's a huge drop off, right? Like, it's a 95% drop off in the value of the company. So
no, it's more. So it was 32 billion or 36 billion, and now it's $1. His net worth is down 94%.
But you said FTX US is still worth what, $1 billion?
Fair enough. Yeah, 1.1.
Yeah. But how is that? Is it remote from it's somehow protected from any the other company? He structured it that way.
It had to be, I think, because of regulations.
Yeah, because the majority of the company is offshore, right?
Yeah.
And so then there's an FTX US portion, which I imagine was part of their initiative to do stocks, right? Because they were getting into that, right? Am I mistaken about that, Evan?
I have no idea.
No, I think it's even a step before that. I think in order to be a crypto exchange in the US, you have to have certain levels of regulation, and they built a completely separate platform to come to the US. I feel like Wolf would know more, but I believe that's how it was structured. And so FTX US is completely separate and didn't have the same leverage that was going on that platform, or same funny business or whatever it is underneath.
Quick question. How does Uniswap fall into it then? Where does Uniswap fall?
Quickly, Wolf, what were you saying there?
I was going to say that's a direct product of Gary Gensler, by the way. Shout out Gary Gensler for saving people a lot of money at this point.
A lot of U.S. investors, a lot of money. So we shit on him a lot, and there are some weird stuff, but that's one in his cap. I agree.
It's pretty hard to be chair of the SEC and not get shit on. I mean, I think like most people, I think it's going to be very difficult for most people to distinguish good actors in that case. Same thing applies to the Federal Reserve, by the way. Like, a lot of people are very quick to jump to the chair of the Federal Reserve, and they don't realize that the same shit's been going on since 1947 in the central banking system. It's not about who's in charge. But anyways, that's a separate conversation. But on the crypto topic, I mean, you're right. This is just prototypically what happens in newer hyper growth industries. And usually you see it on a smaller scale because there's not this level of interweaving between the companies. Like, I don't know, if you were to take some speculative industry in the regular economy, let's just say, like, I don't know, new battery technology, solid state batteries, let's just say that. Okay, there's companies that are involved in that, and there is massive speculation, and there is leverage on some of those bets, and some of those companies go under in that process. But those are isolated explosions, right? A $2-3 billion company going out of business in that sector doesn't instantly mean that every solid state battery in the country is going to suffer now. But that's not the case with crypto. And that's the difference here, because these companies are so interwoven. And I think it happened too quickly, right? Like, that 2-year bull cycle created, I mean, I know people that quit their jobs to go work in Web3 who don't have jobs now. I know people that quit their jobs to go, start a crypto fund who have $0 AUM now. Like,
that's what I was going to ask about.
I think there was a rush to, like, a gold rush effect that happens, and it happened in the .com bubble too. And I'm not saying that, like, crypto's over and done with and it's never going to be valuable. I don't believe that. I think in the next bull market, these assets will go up again. People will buy Bitcoin again when there's a ton of liquidity. It's just what's going to happen. But
go ahead.
That being said, I think most of the other funds that are here, there might be a few survivors. And I think you're going to see bigger consolidation. Like, people look at the financial industry and you look at BlackRock and you look at, like, these big funds that have trillions of dollars AUM, and you're like, how did they get to that point? And it's through events like this, massive volatility events, bear markets. They kill all of the people that can survive because of adequate liquidity or adequate funding. And then what happens? The bigger companies buy them and they get bigger and bigger and bigger every cycle. And that's just what happens in every type of financial industry. So that's what's happening here. And I think it's just the start of it, really. But sorry, Fake, you were saying something.
You're fine. I was going to say, when I read the news about FTX, I said that I kind of was sitting there like, I've seen that somewhere here on Twitter somewhere. Have any of you guys talked to our mutual friends that were down, I think in Florida, working at, I don't know if they were working for FTX, but they were at an FTX compound a couple months ago. I wanted to know if you had heard, like, their take on it and maybe what they think is going on.
They were on Spaces with us for a couple hours yesterday.
Oh, okay. What'd they say?
Evan, you were there in the beginning. I came late to that space, like 30 minutes, where we were talking more about potential outfalls. Did they talk at all about their experience in the FTX office?
There was a little bit. They were talking about some of the people that, like, when one big thing was happening, they were, like, right behind him or right in front of the guy. Truthfully, I don't speak crypto, bro, so it's a little hard for me to kind of re-give what happened there. So
yeah,
I was really good in the moment, and I actually do enjoy them having it on. But
Wolf is our resident crypto guy. Come on, Wolf.
Exactly. I need him to explain it for me.
Altcoin season, baby.
It was in, like, the Bahamas or somewhere, I think. Yeah.
He said altcoin season. Wow, great. Wow.
Absolutely.
What a fucking great commentary.
I mean, well, for shorting.
No. I'm just kidding. All right, Rahul, you jumped up here. What's going on, buddy? How are you? Rahul, you there? Okay, maybe not.
Hey, I am. I'm just finishing up a work call. I'll be on in a couple minutes.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Perfect. Anyone else that we haven't heard from? Christine, Trading Chick, Exclusive, TSDR, Braco. Anybody thoughts on the FTX fallout? Like, thoughts on if there's anything coming from it?
So I actually realized this morning that I have an account open at FTX. So I transferred my Bitcoin out successfully, which was pretty scary. I was thinking...
They let you withdraw?
Yeah.
Again,
yeah,
US is different. Thank you, SEC. Or whatever
today it worked. Yeah. I transferred out my Bitcoin. I was, like, scared shitless, even though it was, like, $200 of Bitcoin. I was, like, scared that I wasn't going to get it. And then I transferred out my Polygon successfully. And I actually had like 95% of my account in cash because I had sold Bitcoin at 30K and I was just like waiting to get back in. But we'll see if the cash ever hits my bank account. So that's all I have to say.
Have you gotten any notification that it's like on its way to your bank, or can you call your bank to find out?
Yeah,
I
they
think
said
it's-
that it's on the way, and I connected it through like the Stripe, the bank.
It'll get to your bank. It'll get to your bank. But I was just gonna say, do we know for sure that he's not CZ isn't just like pulling a play here and like looking like he doesn't want to acquire, and then he does, like the whole thing we saw with like Elon and Twitter?
Well, Whale said an hour ago that he updated that Binance is walking away from the deal.
Yeah, I mean, he's totally playing games.
I don't think they have any interest in acquiring it. And also, following up on what Whale said, most of the FTX legal team quit today. That does not seem like a sign that there's anything going forward here. I think that they are pretty donezo.
Hey, Stock Talk. I don't know if you see Michael Green in the audience. I just came back off my call, so I'm wrapping up here. Maybe if you want to invite him up, he's really good on macro.
Yeah. I follow him. If he wants to come up, he absolutely can. I just invited him. If you want to request, if you didn't get the invite, feel free.
Are you guys still discussing the FTX stuff or talking other topics?
I mean, we're pretty free form. FTX, the Elon Musk Twitter stuff, whatever you feel like commenting on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have too many comments. I'm sure you guys covered a lot of it. The FTX stuff is pretty hilarious. I don't cover crypto that closely, but it's pretty crazy on how that kind of played out. I think the Twitter stuff is pretty cool. I think he's rolling out this verification stuff today, so that's pretty sweet to see. I'm curious, did he ever respond to your question, Stock Talk? If another Stock Talk verifies himself, what happens? Did you ever get an answer to that?
No, he didn't. He actually didn't. But look, I think we're already seeing it. Wolf said we're already seeing, this.
You are seeing that? Another person got verified?
There's already fake accounts pretending to be people that are verified going viral. I think it's going to be a huge problem, actually. I think people are going to like impersonate a CEO on like.
There was a sort of chest-thumping tweet put out by the Bank Policy Institute saying that the blow-up of the second largest crypto exchange has barely even shown up in the traditional fiat system, banking system. And that just speaks to the fact that banks really aren't tied into this kind of exposure. My question, though, is I've not really seen any reports or any sort of major what I would call margin calls on Bitcoin collateralized lending. So these are lenders that specialize in making loans backed by digital asset holdings. And so I didn't know if anyone in the audience was getting any word or any sense that perhaps, this shoe hasn't dropped yet because maybe the loans are still money good, or that the margin calls haven't gone out yet. And maybe this, either we're seeing second order selling today, or that's yet to come.
I want to know the same thing.
Wolf, you're the crypto guy.
There's definitely worse to come. we're not at the bottom here. So I don't know if there was more intrigue to that question. Sorry, I was doing a little bit of research while you were talking. Was there a more specific question there besides, is there worse to come?
Well, so at what point, I know margin account lending in like a traditional brokerage account where you basically get margin called if your underlying collateral drops too much, regardless if you're still current on the loan or not. I don't know if that is the case though in the digital asset sphere. I guess it depends on the lender. But I would imagine that even if the loan itself is still paying off, that the underlying drop in collateral value would force an immediate margin call.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, I think you're hitting the nail on the head here, which is just kind of what's happening to this whole ecosystem, right? Which is people were making these leveraged up loans, right? They were maybe putting 60, 70% collateral, whatever it is. There's going to be a lot of margin calls, certainly, as things continue to drop. I think Ethereum's already down 25% in the last few days. And there's definitely people that have that on loan. There's still people that are staking, right? There's still a lot of these pieces going on. So absolutely, I think you're correct there that we're going to see margin calls. And, an FTX bankruptcy, I think, would have a trigger effect to a lot of the other smaller firms as well, who were probably relying on FTX for liquidity, right? And then so you'll see kind of a chain effect throughout some of these smaller ones. So wouldn't be surprised to see that really be a lot of the headlines.
Thank you.
Yeah, Monative, will go to you. Your hand's been up. What's up, buddy?
Hey, on that, I just wanted to comment on what Benjamin was saying. Silvergate is crapping out 30% in the last 2 days, so keep an eye on it.
Yeah, they actually came out with a statement today saying it's all good here. All our loans are still up to date. No losses, no liquidation taking place.
Yeah, it's a regulated bank, which is why it's shockingly bad that they've fallen 30% in 3 sessions.
Yeah, I think, this is the thing that we talked about earlier, which was that, when Sam Bankman-Fried came out like the day before all of this happened and just put out that tweet basically saying like, hey, like we don't have a liquidity problem. And, everybody says that, it's just odd to me because every institution that gets over leveraged and becomes insolvent or has a liquidity crunch or whatever the case may be, they always say that before that happens. Like it's just it's textbook PR, right? Like the most basic PR people would tell you to say that. And the reason for it is it's more than just the rhetoric. It's because if you are having a liquidity issue, if you are having mass withdrawals, if you are having difficulty meeting your loan obligations, the last thing you want is to admit to people that is happening, to then further exacerbate that problem. The second you tell people, yeah, we're having a fucking liquidity issue, everybody and their mother is going to go hit withdraw on their accounts, and now you have a real fucking liquidity issue. So the idea that we hinge on the rhetoric of the people that run these companies to decide whether it's safe or not is completely ludicrous to me. I mean, every big company that's ever gone bankrupt has made that kind of statement before it happened. Or every big company that's ever gone insolvent or had a liquidity problem or anything has said that before it happened, whether it's in the finance industry or the crypto industry. So I take zero credence from what the people that run these companies say when there are rumors about them being insolvent or being illiquid. I take zero credence from it. I'm just like, okay, like I'd like to hear it from a third party because what you're telling me is clearly in the interest of the company.
Just one other
so now there's new breaking news here. The Binance FTX deal is off unless FTX US is included.
Oh, so now we have terms.
Told you.
I don't know if I still don't know if it's full terms. I think that's just reporting. It feels like anything official is going to come out funny from CZ or Sam Bankman-Fried's Twitter account. Everything else is rumors. Once it gets to the Wall Street Journal rumor, you can say it's good, but everything is still just hearsay at that point. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, but Blockworks was accurate on their last round of reporting about this. So, I mean, rumors, but I mean, look, that's how they all start, right? I mean, there's no.
I still trust Wall Street Journal a lot more than CoinDesk or Blockworks, no matter what.
I'm not saying I don't trust Wall Street Journal more. I'm not saying I wouldn't wait for that to be verified, but they have been right on the reporting so far about this issue.
I do report Blockworks and CoinDesk news, though. So I will say that, but Wall Street Journal is that next level, and directly from the source is when you can say it's facts or hearing the information. I feel like that's become a problem with FTX. This is like, who knows what was actually happening there? No one, besides probably a few people.
There's a super interesting video from Sam Bankman-Fried back when he testified in front of, I think it was FTFC, and he spoke about the 2008 collapse, basically speaking to how there was a system of leverage after leverage and things became over-leveraged until the system was cloudy and unclear and nobody knew what was going on. And then he basically gave a whole speech about how, at FTX, they're vying to change the narrative there. Everything is transparent. Everybody knows exactly how much debt and leverage there is. It's really good. I mean, this was in front of a whole room of lawmakers. So I think that we might see him on a Twitch stream soon with Shkreli and the gang.
And Do Kwon. And Snowden.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, just on another topic, we're getting more details about the Facebook layoff. Most of it is non-technical, so it probably looks like there's going to be another round in a few months that involves technical staff.
apparently that's good for the price.
Did anybody not see that coming? Honestly.
So here's the thing. There was just the reason the price moved and a lot of the stuff, maybe it was just in firing people, but there was also a lot of comments released with it, an entire note. And the reason I think the stock is moving is because people kind of saw this as Meta kind of pulling back from what they kind of signaled at their last earnings, that the spending is just going to continue and it's going to kind of go unabated, and that Mark Zuckerberg doesn't really get that the market is shifting right now what it wants, and it's to kind of save money a little bit more. So I think a lot of the wording that was released with this wolf was also kind of signaling in the direction of, hey, maybe I understand this, and that might be why the stock is moving. I think. But also, you kind of look at like cost saving, and that's really in right now. And unfortunately, firing people, it tends to lead the stock go up in the short term. Obviously, if there's underlying reasons there, like your FTX and you're firing people because you're going under, maybe that's different. But yeah,
SPY making new lows here into the end of the session.
Do we want to talk about Tesla stock here for a second?
Yeah, we can. What do you want to talk about?
What news do you think came out? Stock talk.
I mean, you're talking about Tesla specifically.
I think that Elon's selling $3.95 billion of Tesla.
You want to talk about
a little bit of
the stuff last night?
We can talk about that. Yeah,
I think he's still selling. I think he's selling more today.
So here's the thing.
Yeah,
last time at the beginning of the year when he sold around $7 billion, that time he did it in 2 sets of Form 4s. And so first of all, when he goes in and releases these Form 4s, Edgar, how we see these trades, he doesn't do them in just one form. So he'll do 3. But last time he did that, and then 3 days later he did another 3. So we don't know if it's happening, but I still think there's a chance that he might be selling more. And if he was, we would figure it out. It would be today, tomorrow. So we would figure it out Friday after the close. So if that's going to happen, that's when we would get. Friday after the close is when we would find out if Elon is selling more shares still.
I remember on a previous space in this Twitter saga, someone laid out the plain math of how much cash he'd have to essentially get for the Twitter deal, and I believe
we're past that though.
Yeah.
So he doesn't need money for the Twitter deal at this point, and I heard even someone talking about what cash on hand does Twitter have. I think they had something like $6 billion. Someone could go in and double correct that as of their last earnings because that is public. But I think I'm citing Gary Black. But so I don't know. This is weird. Maybe it's runaway looking forward or whatever. But it's not directly clear what exactly this money was for. Maybe it's more protection and everything like that. But the deal's done.
Yeah. So just really quickly, I just wanted to say I'm going to pin it at the top, but if you are in the audience, at the top is the Twitter Spaces link. We would love if you guys could retweet, comment, share that. We have about 1,000 people in here. I'm sure we'll have more throughout the course of the space. We have Jay, who I know is a crowd favorite and one of our good buddies, who will be coming in after the close. He told me he's trading right now, but he's going to come in after the close. Jay has some comments on the FTX deal he wanted to make as well. We finally have Gerg up here. Gerg, what's up? Any thoughts on the FTX fallout?
I mean, it was predictable. That's why I tweeted. Everyone should cash out of FTX days before the collapse. Anyone with a brain saw it coming. If you have been in crypto for the last 4 or 5 years, you have seen this before. Even 6 months ago, Celsius, and people still don't realize. Everything is written on the wall. Just take a deeper look. But talking about Twitter, Evan, nope. Twitter actually had negative net cash on hand.
No, not net cash. Cash on hand. They literally had zero cash, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, net cash was negative, right? Because Elon has to pay all the debt that Twitter had. So at the time of the closing, Twitter had $6.1 billion of cash on hand. And
don't you think though, with the debt rollover,
let me finish.
Would you be able to roll over the debt?
No. If you are an investor and you bought it for, let's say, 70 or 80 cents on the dollar, why wouldn't you want to be paid 101 cents on the dollar? The guy would take it any single day, and anyone who's smart would do the same thing. And if he paid down the debt, he would actually end up with negative 600 million cash on the books. Twitter is burning 4.7 billion a day right now, and the new debt that Elon Musk took out is
4.7
gonna now it's yeah, okay, and the new debt that Twitter took over for this LBO is gonna account for $1 billion in interest payments per year alone. And all the structure, all the fighting he's doing, right? He has to pay them severance. So the restructuring fees would probably be around $500 million, if not more.
There are 5 more minutes, by the way. Just wanted to say that 5 more minutes, by the way, to get your SPY close picks in. Bottom right corner of your screen. Comment. You'll get $100 if you're right.
Bottom
right corner of your screen.
What is this like? At least
you want to double that, Gerg? You want to match it?
MySpace says we do only about $1,000. So.
Do it.
Boom! Here we go.
Do it,
$1,100 being given away. 25 from me, 25 from Wolf, 50 from Stock Talk.
I only
1,000
do
from
that
Gavin.
unknown spaces, only unknown spaces. But Stock Talk, 100 seems way too low for the effort that people put in your spaces.
Hey, we're gonna be doing this every space, so it'll be good.
I mean, we do 1,000 every space, so 100 seems way too low for the people that put in so much effort.
Match it. 10x it. Gerg is 10x it, guys. DM Gerg.
I can add if you want me to.
Your Gerg will send you $1,000 cash even if you get it wrong. Trading chick, what's up? Your hands up.
Okay, I have a question, and I want to know if anyone else feels the same way. I feel like the market, even though it's down today, I feel like it's not down that bad considering like majority of people's crypto accounts kind of took like a major beating last night. And also FTX is like going crazy and Elon just sold shares. I'm just like, I feel like the market's just like, okay. Does anyone else feel that way?
The S&P is down 2%. The Nasdaq's down 2.25%.
Is this the actual Skrelly account that's requesting Stock Talk?
No, it's not. It's not him.
Just invite him. He has like 5 accounts, so I'm not sure which one is he on. So
I don't think that's him because it says parody. Is it?
Just invite him. Like,
all right,
yeah.
We'll see if it's him.
Remember, they're able to keep the verified if it says parody.
Where does it say parody?
So my burner, it says not Gurgavin, and I got that verified too, so you can do that.
Hey Gurgavin, it's me. What's up?
Oh, let's go. We rolling.
What's up?
Yeah, crazy times, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, it is you,
bro.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know.
Yeah, I took off the parody, so I'm hoping that.
Okay. I thought it was actually a parody of you.
Yeah, I started with the parody because they said they wouldn't ban parodies, but I got the Twitter blue now, so hopefully I'm in the clear. But Twitter is pretty despotic even with the change, so God only knows if I'll be around for a while. But yeah, I think FTX is hiding more losses than anybody knows. I think there could be as much as $10 or $20 billion that have been lost, it's going to get worse and worse. So Binance has officially pulled out of the deal. They're out. And I think that tonight FTX will file for bankruptcy protection, which again is pretty normal. But that'll probably be going on. If not, it could be going on even sooner than that. But they have to file for bankruptcy protection pretty much right now. Most of the staff has quit, which is amazing. I don't think, this is really bad. I don't know if the contagion will spread. I made a comparison to long-term capital management in 1998. It was a relatively small hedge fund, $6 billion. It was big for the time, but relatively small in terms of the scope of the whole financial system. And that hedge fund's collapse caused the Fed bailout. And so I don't know if FTX will have the same systematic, whatever ramifications, but it's certainly a whole lot bigger than just a small hedge fund, and it'll be interesting to see if it'll cause more contagion or not.
So Mark, I have a question for you. So I've seen a lot of people, like, obviously, I think the same people that were saying FTX was safe, I've seen a lot of them saying now, Binance is safe, Coinbase is safe. What do you think the extent of risk is to, I guess, the last few major crypto exchanges out there? And do you think there's any difference in the situation? And I know Gerg is going to want to comment on that as well, so we'll go to Gerg after. But Martin, what are your thoughts on that? And then anyone else who wants to comment on that can as well.
Well, and this is one point that the SEC deserves, which I hate to give out to them. I'm in the middle of a bunch of fights with them. But Coinbase is publicly traded, so they file a 10Q, and as of last quarter, they had 95 billion of crypto deposits and 95 billion of crypto kind of assets, right? So that's the customer assets, and it's on the balance sheet. And it takes a lot to lie on an SEC 10Q filing, right? It's almost like unheard of. So they're audited, they have CFO, CEO, they have to swear that those are right statements. So to me, I think that, that you can more or less trust. Private companies are risky for a reason. FTX was private, Binance was private. There was no way to verify their financial statements. As far as I know, it's unclear if they had auditors or what. Binance is obviously sort of a Chinese company, but we don't know who FTX's auditor was. Clearly, Sam Bankman lied about a lot of things. There was a really good assemblage of all the crypto assets that FTX and Alameda have. It's down to $1 billion, which is a really small amount because I think the customer deposits at FTX were probably north of $20 billion. So they have $1 billion of assets for $20 billion of former customer money. If you had FTX money in FTX, I don't think you get 10, 20 cents on the dollar, which is a really big problem because you're also going to have sort of asset prices fall and there be sort of a contagion that spreads. I really hope I'm wrong and that there was only a couple billion or 5 billion or something like that, and that they have a bunch of cash sitting somewhere, or that the on-chain forensics that people have done is inaccurate because there's a bunch of wallets that people don't know about. But the math looks really bad, and I think that this is probably what crypto needed, like the 3AC, Celsius, and Voyager, all that dilemma. We just didn't know that FTX was also swept up in that. So all we're really seeing is the reliving of that they just kind of swept that under the rug for a few months.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Martin, but it sounds like what you're saying is that, Coinbase might be a little bit more forecasted because it's a public company, and I tend to agree with that, right? Yeah. But what about Binance? Any thoughts on that?
Well, we don't know a lot about Binance, right? It's mostly held by CZ. Real understanding of that business. It does seem like they have like a better handle on things than others, but we really don't know for sure. And I think that a lot of people have said this over the years, like there is no need to hold assets on a crypto exchange, right? That's the whole point of crypto. So you just pull it in your wallet. There's no point in like storing it in an exchange wallet. You need an exchange to turn fiat to crypto or crypto to fiat. But once you do that, there's no point in holding it on the exchange, right? Just keep it in a MetaMask or something like that. So I think it's a little bit crazy for folks to have custody of their assets there. Of course, if you're a big hedge fund or something and you want to put $200 million into crypto, you probably do want the help of an FTX or a Coinbase. But now you're wondering if that was a good idea.
Yeah, and I think that really speaks to, which is the issue I think many of us have been trying to highlight for many months in this industry, which is that there's just a web. It's not over leverage in a vacuum, right? It's over leverage in a web where, companies own portions of other companies that are making terrible managerial choices and terrible money management choices. And, it's become a mess. Gerg, I know you unmuted on that topic. Did you want to comment? Your thoughts on the risk to Binance and to Coinbase?
I don't think Coinbase has any big risk. And to be honest, if the sell-off continues in Coinbase, I might buy the equity here. Because
really? What valuation
are you
looking, or what multiple are you looking at?
A lot of capital will flow into Coinbase just because they're public. They are the only company of that size in that industry that is public, that is regulated, and if I'm not wrong, it's one of the first exchanges, so they have seen this before.
So to double down on that, Gerg, so Coinbase stock is down, what, 50% in 3 months? I don't even know what
it's down 45%. And
it's down like 90% from the peak, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so down 90% from the peak. We've seen this issue with other publicly traded companies. What extent do you think the compression of the market cap poses as a financial risk if maybe they're 2 steps ahead in terms of where they think the balance sheet should be? So do you think there's a risk in further compression of the market cap? If this stock goes to $30, is that increase the risk of an implosion?
No. Are you dumb? Do you know how exchanges work?
No, I'm asking if you think the compression of the market cap is a risk to the company.
No. Because unlike other...
I disagree.
Yeah.
It doesn't help. Yeah. It doesn't help because I think
I don't think it helps at all, yeah.
You lose confidence, right? it's sort of like when Lehman Brothers stock fell and Bear Stearns stock fell. You started to say, maybe I should take my money out of this place, right? That sort of tends to be what happens.
Yeah, there's always things behind. There's always sellers
What
behind
do
the
you
scenes that are
have
set up.
left, right? Even though everything is crappy, you have to go with something that's crappy if you want to stick with this. Like if you live in the US or Canada, you don't have any other good option to put your crypto in.
Cold storage.
Yeah, but bulk of the people won't do that, right?
True.
Yeah, but
For the
that's the issue.
Yeah, so
That's the systemic issue here. That's the systemic issue here. Is that we've had this conversation before. We had it in the crypto debate where people say, crypto heads, if you will, say, look, you should have all of your money on, you should have all your crypto on cold storage, but it becomes very prohibitive to scaling the industry, to scaling the usage. In fact, if there is even a use case for many of these products, it becomes very difficult if everyone has their products in cold storage. So, I don't know. I don't know.
At the end of the day, though, I don't disagree with that, but I think that the answer is when you give other people your money and they're not regulated in what they can do, it leads to problems. So it's either you give them regulation and you do it, or you take your money back until that regulation is there on those hardware wallets. I don't care if it's prohibitive or whatever, but like I kind of still believe in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Like I'm still holding what I have from 2019, whatever. But you best believe that is on a hardware wallet. And I think there's a lot of people like me. And if you want to just invest in the overall asset of it, watch the burn, and maybe buy up a little bit in a year from now or 6 months from now when it's a quarter the price or whatever, half the price, just get a hardware wallet. Don't be that person who thinks it's hard, because it is annoying and it's hard.
So I'm curious, because I know that, Wolf, you've used these types of third-party exchanges in the past. Do you still have a significant amount of capital on these types of exchanges, or is all of your crypto in cold storage, Wolf?
No, not on these type of exchanges. The places right now that aren't, like, I have a ledger, but the stuff that's not in cold storage is either in Coinbase or MetaMask. Right now, that's where I think, like, pretty much all my crypto that's not in cold storage is on one of those two. So, I mean, and honestly, it's not even that much in Coinbase. There's just some stuff with Coinbase Wallet where there's certain tokens and stuff that are just more difficult to get into cold storage, basically, if you're like trading alts or anything like that. So that's kind of what I'm using Coinbase Wallet for. And then MetaMask just for kind of, accepting like payments and like sending money to people. It just can be convenient sometimes. So those are the main two, but nothing is on any of these other platforms. I mean, I had a few $100 in FTX. I tried to take it out. I don't think I'm getting it back. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah.
FTX or FTX US?
It was FTX US. So you're saying I should be fine there, right?
You should be good, right?
Yeah. So
everyone likes to dunk on the SEC. I mean, they do some bad stuff, but they save the people. Like I live in Toronto, and I couldn't even sign up for FTX account because they were banned. So the Canadian government saved me.
Yeah.
I might have had some money on FTX.
So that money,
if it wasn't for them banning FTX because they were too risky.
Well,
a lot of people lost money, right? And you know what's funny? The second biggest pension plan in Canada invested in FTX. So the government thinks it's too risky, but their venture arm thinks it's safe to invest in. Like, what the hell was going on?
There is a really good rumor I'll pass along that basically FTX was drained by hackers. And I have evidence that there was a way to basically withdraw from FTX without your debit or without your balance getting debited. So you could, only certain people, figured this out. But usually if one person has a hack, other people will have it too. So there's some theory out there, which I do believe some part of this might have been a North Korea or a hacker group or something like that, taking hundreds of millions of dollars. We do know that the Silk Road, on Monday, there was an announcement that somebody stole $3 billion of crypto from Silk Road in the exact same way. So sometimes you can trick the computer to withdraw the money from the ATM, but it doesn't change your bank account balance. And I think that partially may have happened to FTX here.
Yeah, I want to say on the back of that as well. I mean, even yesterday, this chance of this buyout was basically nothing. There's no liquidity for all these scam SPL tokens, which are kind of just like sitting on FTX right now, and also the FTT token has no real value to them. CZ's going to let that burn to the ground as well. So a couple pieces there. And then in addition to that, I really do think.
Holy shit! Look at Tesla.
Oh boy.
What's up? 150%. Okay. 177.57. One second. Let me saw something here. Okay.
Hey Evan, who won the $1,000? The market's closed.
The one other thing that I would say is I think you're going to see a surge of traditional finance people coming in and actually shorting Bitcoin and Ethereum off this, because that's just what it, like, to people that already didn't trust crypto, this just feels like, you know, too good of an opportunity for them. So I think you're going to see a lot of downward pressure.
Absolutely, and there's no incremental buyer. You know, Blackstone participated in that FTX deal that Gergen mentioned. The Ontario Teachers Plan also participated in. So those sophisticated players who decided to say, you know what, let me try this out. Screw it. Let me throw a little in crypto. They're done. They're never coming back. The Goldman Sachs's and JP Morgans aren't coming to crypto anytime soon. And certainly, I know of traditional finance people that were heavily shorting crypto yesterday.
Evan, where's our favorite place to short crypto?
On Robinhood? What was the answer supposed to be? I don't know.
That's the other problem.
It was FTX.
It was FTX.
That's where we were shorting crypto.
Hey, so not to pivot too hard, but Evan, I know we do have a couple earnings. Any blue chip names that we're looking at?
No, not really. Names that I kind of highlighted: Rivian, Coupang, CPNG, Beyond Meat, BYD, Unity, and then
When does Rivian
Gavin's favorite stock, Wish.
I'd say Rivian's worth covering. I'm sure.
Wow. Evan, you just jumped over Celsius right there.
Guys, my favorite
Celsius.
is tonight Desktop Metal.
Is it bankrupt yet?
No.
Not yet. Okay.
Yo, Celsius
Rivian
popping
comes out
off here
14.
in after hours. Are the numbers out for Celsius? They're up 3%.
Let me take a look. Just for you, Wolf. No, I do enjoy the drink, but yes, they are out. I don't have the expectations, but revenue was 188.2 million. Now it's up 98% year over year for CELH. And then that's the only number they have in here. I have to dig in to find some other stuff. North America revenue increased 112% to 179.5 million for CELH.
One another interruption I want to make, just to let you guys know, myself, Stock Market News, Wolf Financial, and Gavin are going to be hosting daily spaces starting at Power Hour and running through at least 1 hour after close every single day, every single week. This was our first week test running it. Next week, we'll have a little bit more planned content for you guys. So please make sure you're following myself, Stock Market News, Wolf Financial, Gavin, and we will be bringing you guys those spaces every day, regularly. We do have some exciting announcements coming up, but it's a little too early to make those. We do also have an account, joint account that we're going to reveal to you guys, but that's also a little too early for that. So make sure you're following us. Make sure you have notifications on. Those notifications will inform you when any of us are in a space or hosting a space or co-hosting a space. So just wanted to put that in there. Wolf, you go for it.